Happy Wednesday, ladies and gents. We are about to be started with our relocation rundown. We have a treat for you today. The Queen is in the building. Well, waiting for her to join us real quick. But if you are not familiar with the Queen of Portland, Oregon, Marie Boatsman, you're in for it today. I'm really proud of her. I've known Marie maybe 8, 9 years, and I'll tell the story when she jumps on real quick. But yeah, it's good to always have friends in really high places, you know. Hey, Asia, nice. How are you, my friend?
How are you? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Okay.
sound good. You look good. Good lighting, everything like that. We were hoping to see you in Arizona last week, but I know you're busy.
Oh, I'm so sad. I wanted to come so bad.
Uh, there'll be another one. We love you. We miss your presence.
I'll be at the Laguna Beach one. Super excited.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So while we have a couple of people, joining us right now, just want to catch up, and I was telling a brief story about how you and I met. I think you and I met. We were
Mhm.
in Nashville at a conference on a rooftop, and I remember I was talking to Jason Waugh.
Wrong,
And
wrong, wrong.
no, am I wrong? Tell me how. Refresh my memory.
It was Vegas.
It was Vegas.
It was
Why do we
Vegas
think that was
and
Nashville?
it was my very first very first convention. You were on Rethink. It was like the first year Rethink ever existed, right?
Oh yeah, like 2013. Then this is a while back. Then.
This was like first convention I'd gone to. Yes, I was with Jason. Jason was your Rethink like leader, right? He was you.
Toyota.
He
Yeah.
was you. And that is when I remember meeting you.
Ah, okay. For
So
some reason in my head, I thought it was Nashville on the rooftop there. There was a little bit of rain. That's
I
kind of what
missed
it
that.
is.
I missed that Nashville. So that was not me because that was the year before Vegas, I think, and I didn't go to it.
Okay, got it. Well, I know I was on the original Rethink back in 2013. Nashville, I think, happened in 2020.
Oh, I was
I
there.
got I got my whole stuff mixed
I was
up.
there.
All these amazing
Maybe that
conferences.
was the second time I met you. I don't know. We took like a 7 year break from being friends.
It happens, we're all so busy, but we're also connected too. So we pick up right where we left off. And I'm
Mhm.
so glad you had the time to join us today. I know that everybody watching is going to get a lot out of this. And I want to take just a moment to let people know if you're watching this right now, this gal right here, this right here, she's the truth. She's the real estate truth. I'm going to brag for you, okay?
Oh.
Over 800 closed transactions, over $450 million in closed sales volume. If you're not following her on Instagram and all her other channels, you have to because the creativity is out of this world, right? And it's a pleasure to have you with us, my friend. It truly is. And thank you again for joining us and sharing your knowledge about what you do and your real estate career and whatnot. So, for those people who don't listen to me, Marie, why don't you tell them who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about your background?
Yeah, well, thank you. That was like so sweet. Yeah, it's wild, but I just hit 19 years in the business, so it's been a minute. I'm in Portland, Oregon, with Berkshire Hathaway Northwest Real Estate, and I my background I got started. I actually out of college became an event and wedding planner. Like worked my booty off for like 3 years. Kind of got to the point where like I really couldn't do more than I was doing. I had entrepreneurial parents and just knew I wanted to do something in sales and that I could really have no ceiling with, right? And so randomly a friend was like, you should get into property management. And I was like, oh, okay. So I signed up for property management classes. And while I was like getting ready to go to my first one, I was like, why don't I just do real estate? So I literally like clicked a button. It was like a in-person school. And I'm like, I'm going to switch it to real estate. And the rest is history. So my first 3 years worked for a builder who also let us do resale. And that was probably one of the biggest blessings looking back now because I actually learned like very early on how homes are built. A lot of us don't get that opportunity just selling homes, right? So having that background and knowledge and walking new homes in all the stages every day was just huge for me. And if you're a newer agent, and even if you're not and you've never gotten that chance, like you don't have to be a new home sales agent to do that, but go get experience on construction sites because it's huge.
Yeah.
Um, and then 3 years after that, I Jason. I had met Jason at a new home open house, one of my trailers that I was sitting at, and he for 3 years was like, come to. It was Prudential at the time, come to Prudential, come to Prudential, and I finally caved when the market changed drastically in 2009, and I was pregnant, and I'm like, I can't sit at these model homes anymore, and I was doing more resale than new homes at that point, so the rest is where it is, and I've stayed with the company since, and yeah, here I am.
Here you are. You
Here I
didn't,
am.
not by accident, by hard work, dedication, and effort for sure. Now, you're not originally from Portland. You're from Maui, right?
Yep.
Yeah. How'd
Yep.
that transition happen?
Oh man. Well, truthfully, a little bit of like junior, senior laziness in high school. I knew I wanted to go somewhere, but I kind of was a slacker and really only applied to two colleges outside of Hawaii. And Linfield, which is here in Oregon, allowed me to play soccer and run track. University of San Diego was the other one. They gave me a cross country scholarship, and I was like, I don't want to run cross country anymore. So I ended up here. I had never ever been to Oregon. I had never been here. College visits weren't like a thing we did in Hawaii at the time. So I walked off the plane. My soccer coach picked me up at like 11 p.m. And the next morning at 4 a.m. we started like daily triples. So that's in here. I'm still here.
Good for you.
So
Married, your super mom. Tell them about your home life, because I mean, you're going to hear the story, ladies and gents, about how much she crushes it in real estate, but she's also a super mom, so that comes first. Okay, tell us a little bit about the family life.
yeah, I mean, I have three boys, super active. My oldest just got his license and is driving, and we're all very into sports. I have 16, a 12, and an 8. And I mean, it's a constant juggle balance. I'm not going to say I do it well. Let's just start there. Like, people are always like, how do you do it all? I'm like, well, I don't. Like, that's the thing. Like, I think you can be really good at a couple things, but then everything else starts to kind of, not be, you're not good at it all. So, I mean, I have a messy house and I don't get it. Sorry, can you hear me?
Well, yeah, we can hear you. It's probably one of your clients are
Um,
like, Marie,
it's like,
panic,
yeah,
it's a fire.
delete, delete. Yeah, so I mean, it's really just the balance of prioritizing. And yes, I try to be at everything for my kids. I mean, it's not always, perfect. There's lots of times I'm truthfully there and maybe mentally like not there because there's just so much work going on, but I'm trying to be a little bit more present. It's just an ongoing, balance. And I think for a lot of us that have kids, that's just the reality of this industry is it can consume you
Yeah,
and you have to try really hard to let it not.
yeah, I know what you mean by that. I don't have any children myself, but I mean, like, trying to be mentally present when you're somewhere else with other people, and your phone goes off, and we're entrepreneurs, we are service professionals, we got to take it, right? Like attorneys do, just got to do it. And going to those conferences with friends and dinners. You ever, for those of you who are not real estate professionals watching this, you ever go to a conference or a dinner with a bunch of real estate agents and like the conversation will stop midway, right? And then we're on our phones texting, and then we're right back to where we started, right? Little
I
sidetrack.
actually did I did a funny reel in June. I was at a little mastermind, and if you haven't seen it, you need to go back because it is exactly that. I mean, there's a clip of someone like walking and working with their laptop on the dance floor, taking a phone call, and of course we staged some of those for the video, but some of them were actually real. The walking and working was real. And it's just the real, it's just this industry. So.
Part of the business. Yeah, yeah. So tell us a little bit about Portland and your area, because I know that many people know about Portland, right? But if somebody didn't know about Portland and their job is saying, hey, guess what? You're relocating to Oregon. You're going to Portland, and you got to be there in 60 days. What would be your little pitch to them about what this city has to offer, what they're known for, and cool things like that? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, despite all the crazy you hear, and there is some crazy, I think with any big city, you're going to get some of that, but it
Yeah, there is.
actually is just a beautiful, right on the side of a river, beautiful bridges. You're within an hour from the coast and also the mountains, so great for like snowboarding, hiking, skiing, waterfalls, all the things. But there is a massive food scene here. So I would say food, of course, wineries. They just named Dundee, Oregon, which is about 45 minutes from Portland-ish, like the number one wine destination in the world, even like above Tuscany. So it's getting a lot of like eyeballs on it right now. And
Ooh.
so, we've got wine, we have tons of breweries, but I would say, lots of outdoor activities. So for somebody that's really outdoorsy, whether that's biking, hiking, lakes, snowboarding, food, beer, wine, again, you have the coast. But it is a really great city with a lot of like just a lot of awesome things.
Yeah, I've spent a little bit of time in Portland. It's been a while since I've been up there, but I remember going to Deschutes Brewery and I had elk elk pasta, and I was like, yes, why not? And it was great. I
Oh,
love that place. And being able to walk around all the old brick buildings, that's pretty cool.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, Also, I think home of Nike, right?
Home of
Portland.
Nike. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Nike campus is pretty cool. If you're ever here and get a chance, like it's really neat to see if you have, someone that can get you into the employee store there. That's always a highlight of everybody's trip.
Yeah.
Um, home of like Intel. We have a lot of big companies here. Columbia, sportswear is here. So, yeah, but I would say Nike, most known for Nike. And then of course Eugene with the Ducks.
Mhm.
That's a big deal here. Tracktown, USA.
USC over here. Okay? Let's go to Southern California. But that's the West Coast rivalry. It's not, is it the Pac-10 now or Pac-8, whatever it is? Right? I don't follow college too much, but
I don't
you
even
know,
think it's a pack. I don't even know what it is.
I was
The poor
rooting for you
beavers are
guys.
in their own little, I don't even know.
Oh, poor
OSU.
dude.
I'm like, what are they even doing? I'm not sure.
Who? Who? I
Yeah,
was
I don't
I
know.
know I was rooting for you guys. I went to the Rose Bowl this year here in Pasadena on New Year's Day, and I was rooting for you guys. It didn't work out, but I
No.
was hoping it did. I was really hoping for the West Coast to win that one, but it's okay. You guys will bring it home next time. You
But
know?
we'll see. Yep.
Yeah. So Nike, we got Intel, we got Columbia, we got universities up there. There's a lot up there that you guys have to offer. Let's talk about real estate for a second.
Okay.
What's your average price point for a condo versus your average price point for a single family residence?
So I think the average Portland Metro price is somewhere between like 550 and 6, just like overall everything. But it really changes depending on where you are. If you're in the city, if you're in a suburb, once you start to get out to suburbs, we've got a lot of like acreage, especially like in the wine country area that I was talking about. So you're just going
Yeah.
to see a really big spread with averages based on city, right? We have one area, Lake Oswego, that is probably kind of like the highest price point average there.
Yeah.
And you're probably more like 9 to 1 million, kind of depending on where you are. But you have a very big spread of like homes on the lake that can be 10, 13 million to like a neighborhood that's like 900, right? So
Mhm.
there's a pretty darn big difference. I would say, just in general, you can potentially find a condo 200 to 400, kind of depending on where you are and what city you're in. And then residential detached, really hard to find something under, I would say, 500 that is not needing a lot of work. And that in some areas, that's not even like in Lake Oswego, that would be non-existent too, right? So
Yeah.
then you're going to be more of like a 700, 800 kind of starting price. So
Understood. Yeah. I
a
had
little
the
bit all over
pleasure.
the place based on
Yeah.
city.
Like every city, right? You have pockets that are a little bit more affordable, and then you have your luxury niches and things like that. I was really lucky when I was in Portland. At the time, I was training for one of my marathons, and I got to run all the way around Lake Oswego, and that was my first time there. There were
Oh,
so many cool shops and little things, boutiques and restaurants and places to grab a snack. I was just running through, and I'm just like, wow, this is great. I loved it. It was really
yeah,
nice.
there is a couple really cool loops that you can do. I think the one I used to do is like a 6 or 7 miler, and it literally kind of took you from downtown Lake Oswego. It's kind of like an old town.
Yeah,
The food and like shopping scene is amazing, and it's right on the edge of the lake. And
yeah.
then you can do like a big loop around, and even just looking at the houses around the lake, it's so much fun.
That's what I did. So my
Yeah.
my route told me to go this way, and I'm like, I saw these big houses, and I'm like, me, right, being in real estate, I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to go see these properties. So I ended up just veering off of what
Yep.
my GPS said to do, going into the neighborhoods, and I'm just like, wow, these are great. Just kind of trekking along.
Your rolling hills too, because it's
Yeah,
not very flat there.
no, it wasn't, but it was a fantastic run, and I got to see the residential side of Lake Oswego myself by running it, and great experience. I was really impressed. very nice homes up there, certainly very nice homes. So we got some different price points for condos, different price points for SFRs, but we're looking at entry level about 550 for a condo or something, maybe a fixer upper house at about 600 grand, all the way up to 10, 12 million, depending what you want. If you want a lakefront property with water, you guys probably have boat slips right there and stuff like that.
Yeah, those would
Yeah.
be on those. Yeah. And I would say, like, if you're looking on acreage with like Mount Hood views and in more wine country, you can be on, 5, 10 acres with a beautiful home for like 2.5 to 3.5. So Lake Oswego is kind of that real extreme spot. And I do back to kind of the condos. You can definitely get a condo for 2 to 400, just depending on where you are. So 500 would get you a pretty big one. And then, of course, you have like penthouses and stuff that are going to be much more. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I gotcha. I understand that. So you said a general pricing point there. So
Yeah.
what are some of the market trends happening right now in your area? What's going on? I mean, here in Los Angeles, we're seeing a little bit of price reductions, not much, just a little bit. We're seeing some concessions. Houses are staying on the market a little bit longer. The buyers think that it's 2010. Sellers think it's 2021. What's going on in your part of the woods? Literally,
All of
what's
that.
going on in your part of the
All of that. Yeah, I would say, average days on market is probably about 60-ish days, but the hard thing is you still are getting somewhere 4 to 6 months is like just what it is,
woods?
And we are seeing price reductions. We are in that same spot where buyers are thinking, that they're or sellers are like here and buyers are here. And even if you can get through an initial offer getting accepted, then inspections, it's just like a battle, right? Because buyers want like every single thing done and sellers are like, no. So I will say there was like that nationwide stat that came out recently there where I want to say, I can't remember, it was like, was it 1 out of 7 homes are like falling apart throughout like the escrow period. And I'm like, it kind of feels like that for sure here too, or we're just kind of losing them because they can't agree. But there's definitely some like deals to be had, I will say. And there are still some homes that are coming on and selling very quickly, but they're the ones that are, I don't want to say unicorn properties, that word is very well overused, but they are the unique properties where they either have something really special, they're the total package, or they're just priced well. And by well, I don't mean like too low, but they're priced like good for what they are, where a buyer is like, okay, that's fair, and those are the ones that are still getting a lot of traction. But the really hard thing we're dealing with here, and I am experiencing this on some of my listings, unfortunately, because I've been just very listing heavy, is after a couple weeks of being on the market, it's just real tough because buyers are still in that mindset of thinking, well, what's wrong with it? Why is it not sold? If nobody else wants it, why do I want it? Right. And it's like, well, it doesn't mean that. It could just mean that it's the market. Maybe we started off a little too high and then you're kind of playing catch up. And, I'm just seeing the longer the days on the market, the harder it's getting and the lower price in the end we're getting for sellers. So, like that initial pricing strategy is more important than it's ever been. But it's hard because even when you go on thinking this seems really great, it doesn't mean the market's going to respond to it, right? So just a lot of pricing strategy and then, of course, a lot of marketing.
Yeah, I hear you. And I love what you said right now that they're not unicorns, but they are unique. And pricing strategy is so important right now. I always tell my team that, sellers always want to sell at this level, way up here. And buyers, they always want to purchase way down here. That's human nature, isn't it?
Yep.
But affordability here in Los Angeles is our number one concern. That's it right now. People want to buy. They really do. But the affordability factor of it, the rates, hopefully that changes today, the
Yep.
rate, and then the pricing, right? Those are double whammy for most people. Now, you deal a lot in luxury. Some of the houses that you list are, dare I say, mansions, right? And some of those properties, there's not a lot of buyers for a, $7 million, $10 million home. You're looking at a very small pool of buyers. How are those, managing in this market? Are you seeing a lot of, people from outside the country come in with cash? Because we're having that here in Los Angeles, also in San Francisco. But what's happening with you guys in an ultra luxury market?
Yeah, well, I mean, just to set the record straight, I do luxury, but I mean, right now I have my lowest listings like 186, a little condo, 1 bedroom in kind of a
I
55 and
love that.
older community. Yeah.
I
And
love
then
that.
up to like I think 3.5 right now is my highest. So my highest sell ever was 5 million. So I've actually not done anything over five.
Okay.
So I know about the market, but I just want to be super clear that I'm not claiming to do more than I do. But you know, we're getting a lot of California, I will say, and they are coming up with cash. You know, that market is selling, but again, they have to be like the really unique full package. Like if you're really over 2-3 million right now, you pretty much have to be dialed, and there's just a lot of options. Like I have a 3.5 that's just gorgeous and it's like a retreat setting, you know, but there are probably 15 other options kind of in that range in that same area right now, which a couple years ago you maybe would have had 4 or 5, right? So you're getting more to choose from. And, you know, buyers, I think, are in a great spot where they just have more options to pick from. But
They
there are a
certainly
lot
have
of cash
leverage right now.
buyers. What was that?
They certainly have leverage right now. Leverage that they
Hmm.
haven't had in almost 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the process there in Oregon. Are you guys an escrow state? Do you guys use attorneys? What's your average open contract time? Ours here in Los Angeles is 30-day escrow, 17 days contingencies, things like that. Is there anything unique about how you guys do it over there? If somebody was relocating from LA
Um,
to Portland, they're like, Marie, what's the difference here? How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot about what you guys do, but I have worked with enough California buyers to know. I think that so we are an escrow state.
Yeah.
We are a 10-day inspection period state, but I think some of our biggest differences is I think you guys do a lot of like pre-inspections and kind of the max amount of like repair negotiated potentially like in your contracts early on. And we don't do that. So we're just like, you know, sellers give disclosures and then we have the 10 days to like full in business days to like fully inspect, do everything, and then come to agreement within those 10 days on
Mhm.
what's going to be done. So, and then a closing is typically 30. I think I already said that, but
Yeah.
pretty normal. We have some right now that I would say like 21 days. That's pretty quick, but there are a lot of lenders doing 21 days. And then we have others where if they're a extensive, like bigger property, we might need like 40, 45. So,
Yeah. That seems kind of in line with what we do here in California. We're a 30-day open to close transaction period. By default, our contract time says that there's 17 days for inspections, appraisal review, and full loan approval. But you guys do it in 10 days, huh?
mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So hurry up and do it. Do it faster right there.
Yeah, I mean, it is business days, so really it typically ends up being like 14 calendar days, you
Okay.
know,
Ours runs
normally.
on calendar
Yeah, so
days.
you
So
you stretch it a little bit, but
yeah.
yeah, they have to make like written loan approval within 3 days. I mean, there's certain things, but I will say Oregon contracts are very, very buyer friendly. If you lose your job or don't get financing for any reason, literally till the day of closing, you can back out and get your earnest money back.
No
So
way.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
We have a lot of weasel clauses. I would say we're probably like from what I know, we're probably the state with the most like little weasel clauses to get out of a contract.
Give me an example or two of those weasel clauses, right?
Huh.
When you say weasel, I think of somebody doing something undermined, shady, just really
Yeah,
sneaky. So
yeah.
tell me, give me an example or two of a weasel clause you would consider.
I mean, just in inspection period for just in general, you could literally just during those 10 days just decide you don't want to buy the home. And as long as you're using the inspection period, that's your out. Like they don't really require you to give like any real reason. I mean, the sellers can request a copy of the report, but that's that. And again, like I said, if you lose financing for any reason, which I've had some shady ones over the years on the listing side where I'm like, did they really lose financing or not get approved? Or did they just, hopefully not bribe the lender or do something that would cause them to just to not be able to buy, but they get
Yeah.
their earnest money back. We also, I mean, in 19 years, it's pretty wild, but I think, builders have their own contracts and those are much more hardcore and you're not getting your money back typically. But I literally in 19 years think I've ever only maybe had two where earnest money's been up in the air because again, you can just get out. So I had one of my listings very early on in my career where the buyer fled to Mexico the day of closing, just gone. No one ever found him. His agent never found him and found out through like a family friend that he had left. And it took 3 years for my sellers to get his earnest money because in Oregon, both parties have to sign off on it, releasing it to whichever party it's supposed to go to, even though the contract's like pretty clear. And so there's a 3-year period where, at least at that time,
Wow.
it was 3 years. And so I got a call 3 years after that, and it was the title company saying, "Hey, do you have the address for your clients? We are finally able to mail them their check." And I was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, wild."
That is wild. I mean, the buyer wanting to close a deal then disappears in Mexico. I mean,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then have to wait for the money that you're really due as a
Hmm,
seller. It's not their
that's
fault, right?
insane.
So
That's insane. Yeah.
yeah, but as a seller, you cannot get out of that contract. I mean, that's the other part though. Like you are locked in and loaded if you're a seller. You can make that buyer's life miserable by saying no to any requests, but you cannot get out. So
Yeah.
buyers kind of have all the leverage in a contract.
Well, that's good to know if somebody's going to be relocating to Portland, but you're going to be the gal to take care of them. That's for sure and protect them. I know that you will. So let's move on here. We'll wrap it up with this. Let's imagine I've never been to Portland before. Okay, what are the things you would recommend that I should do and the audience should do? You got 24 hours in Portland. What would you have breakfast? What would you do for fun? Lunch, dinner, maybe a cocktail, something nice or so. What do you think? What would be your perfect 24 hours in
Oh
Portland?
man. Okay. I think it depends if I'm gonna just pretend someone's semi outdoorsy and does drink.
Sure,
Those are
sure.
like the two things, right? Okay. So I would like go from the airport, maybe go find somewhere to go on a hike where you're a little bit more in the mountains, or option coast, because you could do the coast. And go to the coast for like half a day just to get the beach, kind of depending on the time of the year. It's really not a beach, but it
What's
is a
your
pretty,
favorite beach?
pretty scenery. um, I would drive through wine country, have lunch at, like a Red Hills market or something that's very farm to fork, go to a couple wineries, then go have like rooftop, maybe on the east side of Portland, rooftop bar for some cocktails, and then go to one of like the best restaurants in Portland. Um, Next day, probably a really fun brunch. There's some amazing brunch spots in Portland, and then shopping because there's no tax. So I got to take you shopping.
Yeah, I got to do that.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
super cool.
so we have very high property tax and income tax, but we have no sales tax. So that's
Hmm,
that's one thing to know about Portland.
I like that.
So,
Where is your favorite beach there? You said the coast. I've never been to the Oregon coast. What's your favorite beach?
we normally go to Lincoln City just because it's a easier drive from where I am, but Seaside and Cannon Beach are also very popular. So I would say one of those, and they're all within like an hour and a half to 2 hours from probably like the airport. But if you're out in a suburb area, you can get there a lot quicker. So
I like that. You
yeah.
also mentioned wine country. What's your favorite winery out there?
Oh man. Well, right now I am
All of
really
them.
into I actually haven't gone wine tasting hardly at all, except for about a week ago. I went to a brand new place called Lucid Wild, and it was wild. I've never ever been to a winery like it. It's kind of a luxury wine experience. They pair like small bites of food. I hired a very well-known chef, and it's definitely an elevated wine tasting experience. It's not cheap. So, but it's a very fun thing to do. They have the views are insane. The building is like state of the art. They have a speakeasy with jellyfish in it. Um, I mean, I can't even explain it. It's wild. You can go on a farm tour with all their animals. But so that was a really fun experience. But I also have like another one like Moffat Wine, where it's an owner. He's been in the wine industry forever. Family Guy is one of my clients, where he just sits and talks to you while you drink and tells you all about the wine, and so you're getting a much more personal experience. So I would go for like one fancy one and one kind of more like down to earth, just so you have
Yeah,
both experiences here. So
yeah.
yeah,
I love that. Sign me up. I would love to see both of them. That sounds amazing.
yeah.
You mentioned going for a rooftop cocktail. What's your favorite rooftop bar in Portland?
Oh man. Well, honestly, I just haven't been to very many lately. Man, I'm drawing a blank. There's one in a hotel on the east side that is actually really cool, that I can't think of, but
It's all
I
good.
I would know. If you reach out to me, I will tell you. I actually think I did an Instagram post, so I should remember early in the summer of like rooftop like bars to go to. And
Yeah.
any of those would be great to go to.
Well, if you are watching this right now, you're live or watching the replay after the fact, and you have any questions about Portland real estate, this is your gal right here. Marie Boatsman is the best professional for real estate in the Portland area. You got to give her a follow. You got to take a look at her reels. All of you real estate agents watching this right now, this is the gal to emulate. I really mean that. She's amazing. And Marie, thank you so much for half an hour of your time. I know you're super busy. This means the world to me. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your insights about Portland real estate with all of our audience. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me. I appreciate it.
of course, my friend. I'll see you soon, okay? Bye,
Bye.
Marie.